All right, good morning, everybody. I would like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Marla Billinghurst. I will be chairing the meeting this morning. On the panel with me this morning are Ms. Michelle Duncan and Mr. Bill Moretsky. Representing the Assessment Department is Mr. Matthew Harling, and our administrative personnel this morning is Ms. Nicole Carnegie. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 2, 4, and 5 on our docket this morning. Ms. Carnegie, please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Matthew Harling.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Sharples, please state your full name.
Good morning, Grayson Sharples.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Van Bruggen, please state your full name.
I think he's muted.
Sorry about that. You think I'd learn? Wesley Van Bruggen.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The first matter we will be dealing with on this morning's docket is 3370 Wilkes Avenue. Mr. Harling, please proceed when you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 23-327. The roll number is 010013455500. Again, the address is 3370 Wilkes Avenue, and the owner is number company 6417109 Manitoba Limited. The 2024 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $504,000. If we look below on the bottom of page 1 of my brief, you'll see the property description information about the subject property. We have 2 buildings on this property. The actual year built and the effective year built range from 1981 to 1995, with the effective year built being 1981, overall effective year built. The land area is 42,859 square feet, with a total planned area of 4,800 square feet. This gives us a land to plan area of 8.93 And we have a total leasable area of 2,400 square feet. Now if we turn to page 2 of my brief, you'll see the request for income and expense information has been received. And just below that, you'll see some subject sale history. So the property did sell here in April 4th, 2012 for $970,000. I just will let the board know this was part of a multi-roll sale. There's 2 adjacent parcels side by side, which I'll speak to later. So this is not just a sale for this particular property, so just to give some context. And it being a bit older sale. We turn to page 3 of my brief. You'll see the subject property map here. So the photo at the very top here, this is just to kind of give an idea of where the property is located. So where the little red dot in the very left corner there is, you'll see that's where the actual property is located. And then just further to the west or the left side of the map at the top, you'll just see kind of where it's in relation to in the city. So you'll see it's just east of Sterling Line Park, Keniston Boulevard. So you can see some landmarks there. It's close to the Seasons of Tuxedo Outlet Mall, IKEA, just to give some context where the property is located. At the bottom of page 3 here, there's just more of a closer in photo of just the subject property where it's located on Wilkes Avenue. And then lastly, just on page 4 here, you'll just see another zoomed in closer photo of just the actual the building itself here, just on Wilkes Avenue. If we turn to page 5, my brief, these are just some street view photos of the subject. So the very top photo here is just kind of showing it just a zoomed out photo, just the overall parcel of the subject. And at the bottom of page 5 here, we can just get a bit more context of the building. So the main building we're assessing here is the one in the front here, where you can see some of the vehicles in front with the overhead doors. And there's a further building in the back we're also assessing, which I'll speak to as we get further along. Turning to page 6 again, this is just another photo of that secondary building I was speaking to. So this is just kind of just to kind of show a bit of a outline of the building. Page 7, this is just some further photos, some aerial view photos. So on the very photo on the left, you can just see the overall outline of the parcel. The main building there, where it says 3370, that's the main building we're assessing there with the leasable area. And then we just have the essentially the structure in the back here, another parcel a building we're assessing. Continues to page 8, you'll just see some a bit better photos of the buildings. So again, one at the bottom is the main building, the leasable area we're assessing. And then there's just a building in the back there, just as kind of more of a storage building with a little bit of canopies you can see back there. Page 9 is just another photo zoomed up of the main parcel or building we're assessing. And then if you just go to page 10 and 11, these are just further photos just to show the buildings from different angles, just to get an idea of the subject property we're dealing with here today. And then lastly, on page 12 here, I've just showed another photo, just kind of showing the overall parcel. The reason I've shown both photos here is I just to make a note is like the parcel adjacent, when I was speaking to that sale, like the parcel adjacent to this one with the building on the brown is also owned by the same property owner. So I just wanted to give them the context of why that was a multi-roll sale. So, but this is just kind of an overview of the 2 parcels, I guess. But again, we're just dealing with the one property here today, obviously, on the appeal today. What I'll just do is maybe just if you go to actually the last page of my brief, page 21. This is just an floor plan of the subject building we're dealing with. So I just thought, since we're talking about the building, I might as well just kind of show the floor plan overall. So this is the building we're assessing here, so you can just see how it's kind of laid out. So you have in the front here, we have more of like an office space, some waiting room section. And the back, we kind of have more of like a storage shop space, as you can see here. And then we just have the overhead doors. The back's office space would be around 12 feet. And then the front office space would be around 8 feet. So this is just kind of give you context of how the building is laid out. So if we turn back to page 13 of my brief, this is our income workup. So you see here, we're assessing the total leasable area we're assessing is 2,400 square feet. We're applying a model rent of $10.62 a square foot. This gives us a potential rent, this gives us a potential rent of $25,488. We're allowing 3.5% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of $24,596. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 a square foot for shortfall to cost to cover vacancy. which then gives us an overall net income of $23,535. And then lastly, we're applying an overall capitalization rate of 5.30%, which gives us an overall capitalization value of $444,057. Now, if you just look below that, you'll see additional building value, $60,000. So this is the additional building in the back of the structure where I was saying we were assessing. So we're not, this is not included in the leasable area, but we're assessing this as a detached structure, if you will. So we have added $60,000 of additional building value. We're assessing on its like a cost basis. And we're assessing it roughly at around $25 a square foot would be how we're assessing that building. So the building is not being leased at this time, but we are including it because it does add value. So that's where that additional value comes into play. And so if we add the capitalized value on that additional building value, this gives us the estimated market value or estimated value of $504,000. So we turn to page 14 in my brief. These are my rent comparables. So my rent comparables range from in age of August 1st, 2018 to September 1st, 2020. The lease terms range from 1 to 5 years. The leasable areas range from 2,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet. The wall heights range from 12 feet to 15 feet. The effective year rents range from 1957 to 1987. And the overall net rents range from $10 a square foot to $15.88 a square foot. So I just will note that the building itself is it's being used more or less for a auto shop / sales, vehicle sales. So some of the comparables I've shown I'm trying to be comparable to the building itself. So so I will note, for example, just to get context of which comparables are which. So comparables, the ones on Pembina Highway, Springfield Road, St. Mary's, and Sherbury, these are all more would be similar use to the subject in the sense of what the building is being used for, auto type usage. 1389 Act Road is more of a storage warehouse, and then that would be also in Buffalo Place. So just trying to show a range of comparables. Again, these are all very similar in size, wall height, varies in age. So and then the rents, I believe, our overall model rent falls within the range of these net rents that I've shown here today. So so those would be my rent comparables. If we turn to page 15 of my brief, this is just some capitalization rate information. Again, we are applying a capitalization rate of 5.30%. The reasoning for the cap rate would be based on factors such as the age, size, land to plan ratio. Those would be the driving factors for the cap rate. You know, when we look at cap rates, we're looking at overall risk. So for example, being a 2,400 square foot building, there's much less risk involved with that of leasing a building of that size. So that would be the reasonings for the lower cap rate. And again, being at 1981, it's not a significantly older building. So that would be the driving factors for that. And again, you know, we have a slightly higher land to plan ratio, 8.93, but obviously we're not including any surplus or excess land in that case. So if we can do page 16 of my brief, you'll just see some Municipal Assessment Act excerpt information. Now, if we continue page 17 of my brief, this is the income and expense mailer that we have been provided. So if you can see here, they've indicated that the rent that they're getting is a net income. The overall rent income they've indicated that they're getting is $50,400. And then if we look overall at their expenses, they're indicating a net income of $37,295. So there is a notable difference in our NOIs, but they're indicating from what our model is deriving. Page 18 is just another further part of the income expense mailer. And then lastly, here on page 19 here, you'll just see the tenant in there. This Miracle Auto is leasing the space. They're receiving roughly $4,200 a month. They haven't indicated the length of the lease term. But you know, the lease, if you look at the overall rent to overall the year, it is higher than the rent we're applying for our model. And then lastly, on page 20 here, this is just the further last page of the income expense mailer. And then page 21 of my brief, this again is just the floor plan that I had mentioned previously in my presentation. So that being said, I believe that concludes my presentation, and I am open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Applicants, do you have any questions for the assessor regarding his presentation? You're both on mute.
I have no questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think we're good, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions for the assessor? You're on mute, Ms. Duncan. Okay, Ms. Duncan is indicating no questions. Okay. Mr. Moretsky, do you have any questions for the assessor?
Just a quick one here, page 15. Cap rate, capitalization rates. You've indicated a cap rate of 5% on this property, correct?
5.30, yes.
5.3, okay. So then you are in the out of the range on those industrial, would that be industrial?
Yeah, if looking into the industrial section, I will note, yes, the cap rate we've applied for property is lower than what's indicated by some of the outside sources, as well as our 28th percentile. But as I was saying, the reasoning for the lower cap rate would be due to the fact of the smaller size, again being 2,400 square feet, land to plan ratio, those factors. A lot of when it comes to the 28th percentile properties, we're seeing cap rates within that range. But when we look at sales to derive our cap rate analysis, we're looking at all sales in the market. So there are sales of seen at much lower cap rates. So yeah, there's obviously going to be a range, but yeah, I will note that it is slightly below our 28th percentile. But again, being the fact of such a small building, there would be less risk involved. Would be the driving factor. So
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Sorry, 1 second. Okay, my question has been answered. So we can proceed with the applicant's presentation. So please proceed when you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just give everyone a few minutes just to turn to page 3. Is where I'll get started in our evidence package. So again, just a brief description. I don't think we need to go over it too much again. The subject property is a 2,400 square foot storage warehouse located in the Wilkes South neighborhood. Assessed at a value of $504,000. And we are requesting that the assessment be reduced to $354,000. On page 4, we just have a screen grab of the current assessment. And on page 5, we have a breakdown of our request. So we are requesting that the rental rate be reduced from $10.62 per square foot to $8 per square foot. And then we are requesting that the capitalization rate be increased from 5.3% to 6%. And we have no concerns with the adjustment value of $60,000 for the additional building. And so that's how we've derived our requested assessment of $354,000. On page 6 and 7, we just have the valuation breakdown. On page 8, we just have the assessment map from the City of Winnipeg website. And on page 9, again, a satellite view of the property. On page 10, we just have a few more street view photos of the subject property. And our valuation begins on page 11. So the first thing we did in looking at this property was we pulled what we deemed to be comparable sales. And looking at all these sales, we got an average and median land area, year built, and building area fairly close to the subject property. And the average and median sale price per square foot of all these comparables was $162 and $165 per square foot, which is significantly below the assessment of the subject property, which was at $210 per square foot. So based on these market transactions, it would be our position that the subject property has been overvalued. On page 12, we've provided our rental comparables. So in looking at all these properties, we have come to an average rental rate of $7 and a median of $6.50 per square foot. From this, we see that the subject property is generally a bit newer than some of these leasing comparables. And from that, we're requesting that a rental rate of $8 per square foot be applied. On page 13, kind of mentioned earlier, is the capitalization rate. So just in looking at the industrial capitalization rates from City of Winnipeg, Colliers, CBRE, and Cushman, we see that the assessed cap rate of 5.3% is below the lower bound for all of these industrial properties at each of these third-party companies. And so from that, we're requesting that the cap rate be adjusted to 6%. This is closer to the lower bound of these third-party reports. We believe that would be a reasonable rate to be applied. So in summary, on page 14, we're requesting that the rental rate be changed to $8 per square foot and that the capitalization rate be changed to 6% for a total requested value of $354,000. Starting on page 15, we just have our supporting documentation. We have the notice of hearing on page 15 and 16. And then beginning on page 17, we have photos of our comparable properties that we've used. So pages 17, 18, 19, and 20 are all the comparable sales we looked at. And then beginning on page 21, we have photos of the leasing comparables that we used. And then on page 26, we just have provided the City of Winnipeg guide for the valuation of income producing properties. So again, we just ask that the board consider this information and reduce the request or reduce the assessment to $354,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harling, do you have any questions for the applicants?
I think just one quick question is I was just looking at the leasing comparables just out of curiosity. I guess are you aware of any of the leases and like the leases for the leases like for the leasable areas or the leases that you've supplied, are they of similar use to the subject at all? Or because just looking at some of the photos, I wasn't sure if these are like, I guess you're more or less storage warehouses and some flex warehouses and such. Just looking at some of the photos, I guess, or are you?
Yeah, so I mean the subject has been assessed as a warehouse, storage warehouse. And so we have looked at the leasing of industrial warehouse properties.
Okay. That's all the questions I have then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions for the applicants?
What's the amount of right now since the lease expire?
Sorry, could you please repeat that? You cut out for a second.
Oh, sorry. Lease expiry, how many year lease is it right now?
Oh, we don't have that information.
Okay. And then just based on the 6% cap rate, what considerations did you put into determining that besides the third party numbers?
Oh, yeah, we just primarily looking at the additional numbers, and then we thought this is kind of a new-ish property, so a value at the lower range of that scale would be appropriate.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Moretsky, do you have any questions for the applicants?
Yes, just turning to page 11, if you will, on your comparable sales chart. These properties, do you have the land to plan ratio available for these properties?
We have not calculated it, no.
The land to plan ratio for this property is not on, I believe it's not on your brief, but what was on the city's brief was over 8, was it? Or Mr. Assessor, would that be correct?
I believe it was like, yeah, 8.4. 8.94.
So is it your do you believe that these are similar in land to plan ratio, or don't know, or are you aware of it? Any of that information?
Well, some of them would be closer than others. I mean, just they're all similar in building area. Probably be looking at land areas, probably say 155 Oak Point, 19 Archibald, 99 Durand maybe would be the most similar in terms of that.
You have pictures of these properties again somewhere?
Yeah.
No,
So
not an overall picture of the land, because some of these look like they're pretty tight properties. 1460 Aaron. Well,
yeah, we have not provided any satellite images of the comparables now.
so you haven't considered the effect of the land to plan ratio on the value of the property, would that be correct? What's your comparables?
Yeah, be more or less correct. I mean, we have looked at the land area and the building area, and we've determined that these are the closest comparables to the subject. Those are our primary considerations.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
I just had a question, but so I'm just looking at the valuations and the photos. So do you know if any of these or which ones of these comparables you provided have multiple buildings on them? Or if they're just single?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so then if so, so then you wouldn't be able to tell if the leasable area you provided is all located in one building or multiple buildings or anything on the property.
That's correct. We gathered these sales from the Johnson report, so those are just the values that were provided in that.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are all my questions. All right, does anybody have a need for summary on this matter?
No, I'm good, thank you.
I think we're good as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So just give me 1 minute, please. I just want to make a note. Okay, thank you. I guess we can move on to the next matter on the docket, which will be, 570 Roseberry Street. And that is number 4. So, Mr. Harling?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just will note there's a preliminary issue of non-compliance on this property, so
Yes.
I'll just read the roll number and and then I can continue with that if that's all right.
The
Thank you.
non-cooperation. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So again, the file number is 23319. The roll number is 0702110900. The address is 570 Roseberry Street, and the owner is Archie Sales Company Limited. So as I previously mentioned, there is a preliminary issue we have of a non-cooperation. So I'll start with that with my presentation.
Thank you.
So if we turn to page 12 of my brief. So this
Sorry,
would be,
which?
sorry,
which
page
page?
12. Sorry, page 12. I apologize.
Thank you.
So if we look at page 12 of my brief, this would be the income expense mailer, or the mailer we sent out. Now I'll just kind of give some background. Initially we sent out an initial mailer. We sent the initial mailer on April 15th, 2021, which would have a due date of May 6th. When we don't receive that, we send an additional certified letter or certified mailer on June 9th of 2021 with a due date of June 30th. And then after that, after June 30th, you can request an extension, but obviously we didn't receive the mailers or any extension requests, so we don't really have anything to go with on that. So page 12 here is just a blank mailer. This would be the certified mailer that we sent out. So this is on page 12, 13, 14, 15. This is just the blank mailer. And then just page 16 here, this is just the Canada Post documentation we received. So the delivery date was June 10th, 2021. So now we have a signature name of ME. So somebody signed for it or initialed it, I guess, on that date. So that would be our main grounds for why we would be seeking the non-compliance. Additionally, when it comes to just the mail, when it comes to receiving the mailers, I just want to note it is important for us to get the mailers, even if it's an owner-occupied property, just due to the we do use the information for expense to derive our expense analysis, as well as our to derive our model. So it is important that we get these mailers. And I just will note too, I was just trying to find the history of this property. Unfortunately, we've never actually received a mailer from this property since they've been in the space, and they've been in there since I think 1994. So in the event, we don't receive the mailer, unfortunately, we do have to seek the the non-compliance. We're legislated to seek it. So that would be the reasons why we're seeking the non-compliance today. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
1 second. Okay. Thank you. Do the applicants have any questions for the assessor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if looking at the mailer, if we can turn to page 16, please.
Yes, okay.
So do we know who signed for this? I'm just seeing ME, could be initials, or it could just refer to me. Would that not be a possible outcome?
Yeah, as I stated, this is what we received from Canada Post, so I can't, state exactly who signed for this or who initialized it. But when we send the mailers, to the same address as we do the applications for, for our tax bills and everything like that. So, I'd assume somebody from the actual building received it. So, since we send everything to the same mailing address, but you're right. I don't know exactly who signed for this though. So
do we know? So we don't know that it actually got to anyone who could actually action it. Is that correct? Given the fact that we don't know who signed for it?
Well, like I said, it was sent to the right address, but you're right. I can't speak to say who exactly signed for it though now. So.
Okay. All right. And I understand that the issue of non-cooperation has been dealt with numerous times. If we take a look at Boeing Canada operations, the court made the determination that it's a harsh penalty.
Mr. Van Bruggen, sorry to interrupt you. Right now, we're just asking Mr.
Certainly.
Harling questions on his presentation. You'll have a chance to make your presentation shortly.
All right, excellent. Sorry, I apologize, Madam Chair.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, nope, that's fair. I think that concludes my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions for Mr. Harling?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Moretsky?
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nor do I. Okay, so Mr. Van Bruggen, please proceed with
Thank you
your
very much.
comments regarding the request for non-cooperation.
Excellent. Thank you. And I do apologize about that.
No, no problem.
All right. So the issue of non-compliance, I think, has been examined. It has been brought up numerous times through the courts. There have been certainly a number of court rulings. Each situation, just given the circumstances, is always a little bit unique. Just given because there could be as many circumstances as you can imagine. However, I think there's a couple of court decisions out there which may provide a little bit of guidance when looking at this file that might be able to help as we try to determine how to move forward. So the first would be in 2016 MBQB 175 Boeing Canada Operations Limited. So in this case, there had been a request for or income and information request form that had been sent to the owner of the property. It was determined that the owner of the property had not responded to it, and the tenant within the property was Boeing. Boeing had filed an appeal in regards to their assessment. They had gone through the board of revision. The board of revision agreed with Boeing that the assessment was too high and made a reduction. However, at the same time, they did apply the penalty of noncompliance with the deferral for 1 year. That issue was appealed to the courts. And in review of the court really did find, after examining it, they found that they were a little concerned with the fact that there was some question of whether or not procedural justice had been followed. So they had indicated that procedural rules must serve, not thwart, natural justice. Here, where a property owner, and this is in paragraph 69 of that decision, here where the paragraph owner failed to comply, the assessor could have sent some other phone notification to Boeing as a tenant or occupier of the property, knowing that the owner had failed to comply and possible consequences of that. Then if we move down to paragraph 71, it was not sufficient basis, which I was also persuaded by the argument advanced by Boeing that legislator could not have intended to give a right to appeal to one party, including a tenant, and at the same time subjecting that party to a harsh penalty as a result of conduct of another, over which the party had no knowledge, control, including where the application for review for real property was successful. So again, I think in this situation, we know that the letter was sent, but we don't know who signed for it, and we don't know where that information eventually ended up. So again, in looking at that, it's a fairly harsh penalty, in our opinion, to apply the determined non-compliance when we don't actually know that the property owner received this. Additionally, when we look, there's another decision out there. This is 2005 MBCA 95. Winnipeg City Assessor v. Licharson et al. Again, this is another court case. In this situation, this was, again, not exactly the same, but I think there's some parallels we can draw here. In this situation, there was an appeal that had been filed. The issue was the income and expense form had been sent to a property management company, which failed to pass it on to the owner. Again, in this situation, in paragraph 42, what the board found was that in this case where the agent received the request but failed to bring it to the owner's attention, this is not a situation where the owner held the agent out to have authority to receive the owner's request, since no request was made pursuant to section 161 16-1. There could be no deferral to reduce of the assessment. To answer the question directly, the municipal board did err in making the deferral, since the request for assessment was sent to an agent of the owner who failed to either deliver the request to the owner or otherwise bring it to the owner's attention. Additionally, when the court looked at it, they determined that it was the responsibility of the assessment department to show that the owner had received the request. Again, not exactly the same as understanding that this was a situation where the request was sent to a property management firm. But again, I think the foundation, the internal truth is the same, where it's a situation where there is a question of whether or not that information and request form had actually gotten to the owner of the property in terms of to let them know that it needed to be filled out. Since it hadn't happened, or since there was no way to really establish that, then it became a question of, is natural justice being served by granting the deferral, since we don't actually know that the owner had a chance to return or respond to that. So again, those are our comments in regards to this question. When we take a look at the forms, we have there's nothing clearly showing that that information was actually got to the correct person when they're filling it out. With that, we conclude our Grayson, is there anything you want to add on that?
Nothing to add. Thanks.
All right. And with that, we conclude our comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harling, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I think like I've kind of presented why we're seeking it. As I stated, we've, I don't think I have any questions. I think, I've shown that, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions?
So if I understand you correctly, you would be indicating that your client, even after 4 different reminders, the initial mailer and then 3 reminders delivered to the property address, never ever received a mailer?
We're not sure. What I'm trying to say is we don't know where it went. We don't know who received it. We can see that there's one form, and again, I apologize. I see one mailer that was sent, and I might be misunderstanding the situation, but I do see there's a mailer sent on June the 9th. I see that there is a response from Canada Post on June the 10th. It looks like the Canada Post response was signed in me, so I don't know who that is. And we know that, and again, understanding from the assessor that an initial mailer had been sent. So I count 2, but
Yeah,
again, I could be mistaken there.
Yeah, you're correct. It is just 2, just the initial and then the certified. Yes, correct.
And then again, does it make sense that the owner would not have returned a mailer request since 1994 to the city?
Unfortunately, I can't respond to what has happened in the past. I can only comment on what we see here. So again, in looking, I don't know what other forms have been filled out. I don't know how what indication they have, whether or not they've been received. However, in this situation, looking at this form, our position is it's not clear on who received the form, as well as we see that courts have in cases, there are certainly some differences and nuances to those cases, but deemed in situations where it can't be shown that the owner received it, that is a violation of natural justice to prevent or to issue non-compliance in those circumstances.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moretsky, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just looking at the subject photos there, this looks like there's an office out front with an entrance, sidewalk to an entrance, and would there be a receptionist there in that area?
Unfortunately, I'm not sure. I mean, I think we could probably assume there typically is, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, so that is the correct address that the city has on the top of your form, though? There's nothing wrong with that that you can determine?
Nope. As far as I'm aware, 570 Roseberry Street is the civic address of the property that we're dealing with today.
Right. Okay, I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, nor do I. So we are going to take a brief recess to discuss this matter.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Right. We have discussed the evidence presented to us, and we, as a board, are going to grant the assessor's request for non-cooperation. So that'll put you in a reverse onus situation. So I'm requesting the applicants proceed with their presentation first. So please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll pass it over to Grayson for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. So again, we'll just begin on page 3 of our document. So the subject property is an industrial warehouse located in the St. James market region. It has been assessed at a value of $1,508,000, and we are requesting that that be reduced to $1,375,000. On page 4, we just have a snippet of the current assessment. And on page 5, we have our requested assessment. So one thing I guess I'll get out of the way early is, so we did not have access to the valuation breakdown for this property. So we have used a leasable area of 15,370 square feet. It has since come to our attention that the leasable area for this property is 14,319 square feet. But it is our position that the requested value still reflects an accurate value for this property. And so that leasable area was determined using satellite imaging and mapping. And so from our leasing analysis, we are requesting a rental rate of $6.50 per foot.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
We're requesting a rental rate of $6.50 per square foot, and a capitalization rate of 6.25%. And that's how we've arrived at our requested value of $1,375,000. On page 6, we just have the assessment map from the City of Winnipeg website. On page 7, we have a satellite map. And some property photos on page 8. So on page 9, we have our rental rate. I'll come back to this in a second. I just want to jump ahead to page 10, where we've looked at the capitalization rate. So we have pulled comparable sales of the property here. We found that the average sale price is ranging from about $71 per square foot to about $101 per square foot, for an average of $89.65 per square foot. Again, we've calculated the assessment value to be $98 per square foot, which is above this average rate. If we were to use the building area of 14,319.
Sorry, excuse me.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I sneezed. I just said, excuse me. Sorry.
Sorry, so if we were to use the building area of 14,319 square feet, that would actually be a value on a per square foot basis of $105. So again, this would be above the sales that we've identified here. We believe that the property has been overassessed. So moving backwards just to page 9, we've taken a look at the comparable rental rates for warehouse properties. And we found that typical rents for similar properties range from about $6 to $7 per square foot, with both an average and median of $6.50 per square foot. And for that reason, we are requesting that the rental rate applied be $6.50 per square foot. Moving back to page 10. So we've identified these sales, and as mentioned earlier, and from that we've tried to calculate a capitalization rate. So unfortunately, we don't have the leasing information for any of these properties. So we've used a requested rental rate of $6.50 per square foot, And then we've kept all remaining assessment income parameters the same. And from that, we've determined the capitalization rate average from these is 6.39%, and the median is 5.77%. And so from this, we believe that a capitalization rate of 6.25% would be reasonable. And again, on the following page, we have the third-party capitalization rate data. So again, for industrial properties, these values typically range from about 6% to 7.25%. We believe that based on the sales and capitalization rate analysis from the previous page and this information, that further supports a capitalization rate of 6.25%. And so when we went through this, using our requested rental rate of $6.50 per square foot and 6.25% for a capitalization rate, our requested assessment of $1,375,000 would equate to a value of $89.51 per square foot, which aligns closely with the sales identified in section 5.2. So again, just in conclusion, on page 12, we are requesting that the rental rate be $6.50 and the capitalization rate be 6.25%. And this brings us to a total requested assessment of $1,375,000. And again, beginning on page 13, we just have our supporting documentation. So we have the notice of hearing. On page 15, we have the screenshot of the mapping that we use to try to determine the area of the property. And again, on pages 16 and 17, we have photos of our comparable leases. And then on pages 18 and 19, we have photos of the properties that were sold that we looked at in our analysis. And then again, just the Winnipeg guide for income producing properties. So again, we believe that the property has been overvalued and the value we are requesting is $1,375,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harling, do you have any questions for the applicants on their presentation?
No, I believe the questions I was going to ask were already answered, so I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions for the applicants?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moretsky?
Yes, just on your income workup, you have revised the area to 14,319, correct?
On what page is this, sorry? Oh, yeah, so I mean,
you did that verbally, right? You did that verbally to 14,319?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And now you're maintaining all of the other parameters and inputs that you've had before, but you're coming up with a number of 1,375,000. So I guess my point is those calculations no longer work up to that number. So you would have to change some of your multipliers up there to make that equal $1,375,000.
Yeah, so our income workup is based on the leasable area of 15,370. If we were to change that value, it would be a lower requested value, we believe that this value is still reasonable and aligns with the sales that occur in the market.
Okay, but you haven't provided any evidence to that other than you just believe that it is worth 1,375,000 as opposed to what it actually calculates to?
Well, based on our rental analysis, we believe that the $6.50 is supported, as well as the capitalization rate. So we believe that the value is reasonable. We've just used a slightly higher building area than it turns out is the case.
Okay, so you believe that the rent is correct at $6.50, correct? That's the number that you believe that it's worth?
That's correct, yes.
$6.50 per square foot. So then your total rent is going to be lower because you lowered the square footage, correct?
Correct.
So therefore you now do not come out to that value that you had calculated before.
Correct. We were not aware that the actual area, assessed area, was the 14,319.
Okay, I probably asked enough about that issue. Page 15. Okay, on that picture, where is the subject property?
So
When is it?
It is outlined in the yellow.
Oh, the yellow there. Okay. So that building right next to it, is that one of your comparables? I don't believe that it was, correct?
No, that's not one of our comparables.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you very much. I have no questions, so we'll proceed with Mr. Harling's presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 23-319. The roll number is 0702110900. Excuse me. The address is 570 Roseberry Street, and the owner is RG Sales Company Limited. The 2024 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $1,508,000. Look below on page 1 of my brief, you'll see the property description information. So this is a one-story building. There's one building on the roll. The effective year and actual year built in 1958. The wall heights are 16 feet. We have a land area of 37,946 square feet, with a plan area of 14,319 square feet, which gives us a land to plan area of 2.65. And the leasable area, again, is also 14,319 square feet. So we continue to page 2 of my brief. We've already spoken about the information for income request for mailers. We have no recent sales or no subject leases on file. Page 3 of my brief, just a photo of the subject property. So again, this is located on Roseberry Street. So you can see just south of that, the St. Matthews, Ferry Road is close by. So this is located would be in the St. James area of the city of Winnipeg. Now, continue to page 4 of my brief. You'll just see another zoomed in closer photo just to show the outline of the property. Bottom of page 4 is just an aerial or a street view photo, just the front of the building. And then page 5 just shows further photos from just different angles, just kind of give an idea of the overall building. Page 6 is just a parcel view of the subject and just an aerial view to show the building in its entirety. And this is also continued on page 7, just to show different angles of the subject, just to show the building in its entirety on the parcel it's situated on. So if we turn to page 8 of my brief, this is our income workup. So we have 2 premises broken down into 11,519 square feet and then 2,800 square feet for the second premise. For the total lease layer, 14,319 square feet. We're using a model rent of $680 for the larger and $729 for the smaller, which gives us a total blended model rent of $6.89 a square foot. This also equates to a potential rent of $98,741. We're applying 7% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of $91,829. We're allowing 3% for non-rental expenses and $3.85 a square foot of shortfall, which gives us a net income of $85,215. And then lastly, we're applying an overall capitalization rate of 5.65%, which then gives us an estimated value of $1,508,000. If you turn to page 9 of my brief, you'll see my rental comparables. So my rent comparables, these all would be in close proximity to the subject property, Winnipeg Avenue, Dublin, St. Sargent, Erin, St. Matthews, King Edward. So these all would be in a very close proximity to the subject. The lease start dates range from August 1st, 2018 to December 14th, 2020. Lease terms range from 3 to 6 years. The leasable areas range from 1,950 square feet for the smaller space to up to 20,900 for the larger area. Wall heights range from 16 feet to 18 feet, and the net rents range from $7.31 a square foot to $10.08 a square foot. So again, these are my rent comparables. So I believe our model rent falls within brackets these comparables. Looking at page 10 of my brief, again, we're applying a capitalization rate of 5.65%. So this does fall within our 20th to 80th percentile of the cap rates we find for properties within the city of Winnipeg. I will note it's lower than the outside sources. And, I will just make a note, being an older building, lower wall heights, generally, you might see a higher cap rate. So, I won't dispute that, there could be some differences in what maybe the cap rate could be, but we've applied it based on, again, factors such as age, location, size, and again, when we look at sales, of all sales to try to derive our cap rates. So we're looking at the market as a whole. So, but yeah, again, we're using a 5.65 cap. So, turning to page 11 of my brief, that's just some Municipal Assessment Act excerpt information. And then just pages 12 through 16, again, are just the mailer information, which we've already spoken to previously. So that concludes my presentation. I am open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do the applicants have any questions for the assessor on this presentation? You're both muted.
I do not, Madam Chair. Thank you.
I'm sorry? Oh.
No questions for me.
Oh, thank you.
No, none for me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions for the assessor?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moretsky.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. Okay, so thank you very much. Is there a need for summary on this matter from either party?
No, I believe I'm good with that. Thank you.
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. All right. We can move on to the next matter on the docket, which is number 5 on the docket, 710 Dufferin Avenue. And I see a note that this has a request for non-cooperation. Is that correct?
Correct. There's another preliminary issue with this property. Well.
All right. So, Mr. Harling, will you proceed with that request, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Comments?
So I'll just read the file number. The file number is 23324. The roll number is 14002489000, and the address is 710 Dufferin Avenue. So again, there is the issue of non-compliance here. So I'll just kind of go into that as we speak. So right now. So if we turn to page 16 of my brief. So these are, again, very similar to the last property. So I as you can see here, there's two, I've shown 2 pages here. So we have 2 owners on file on the property. As you can see on the first page of my brief, we have the 2 owners. So we do, anytime we have 2 owners on the same file or, registered, we will send a mailer to both of those owners. So we did, again, like I was mentioning, the previous property, we send out the initial mailer in May, and then we send out a certified mailer. So this was one sent in June. So this is just a blank mailer. I will note we did We have received one mailer from the property back in 2019, but we haven't received one since. So if you go to page 18 to 19, this is just a blank mailer, continue on page 20. Now, the one thing I will note with this property is, yes, if we look at pages 21 through 24, these were the mailing address we have to file as the owner's address, personal address. So when these were sent, they were sent to their, I guess, community mailbox. So they weren't sent, I guess, initially to the home, I guess. So this is what Canada Post provided with us. So I will note, yeah, we don't have a signature for this particular one. So so that's really, the evidence I have here. So you can kind of just take a look at it. It was delivered, but you're right. We don't have like a signature on file, unfortunately. So this is just, we were provided by Canada Post. So, I don't think there's really much more else to really go into on that. I think the board already knows our position on it. So I'll just let the board make their decision or have any questions.
Thank you very much. Do the applicants have any questions for the assessor regarding this information?
I don't think we have any questions. I mean, we'd like to speak to it, but I don't think we have any questions.
Of course. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions for the assessor?
Yeah, so you had indicated that both owners received these mailers and it went to their personal addresses, but their personal addresses were communal mailbox.
Yeah, it's like it went to the same address. The address we have on file that we send everything to is the 1282 Lee Boulevard, which would be their personal address. So in a lot of the newer developments, a lot of people don't have mailboxes. So Canada Post, I guess, delivered it to their community parcel mailbox. Because if you look up on pages 22 and 24, you'll see the tracking information where it was sent there. So, but yeah, so it was sent to there for each owner, but we don't have a signature on file.
So we're both owners and live in the same household, or you just think they have the same communal mailbox, but they live separately?
I believe I can't speak to them, but I mean, they have the same last name. So, when we register, anytime when we add a new building to a roll or we initiate a mailing address, we would always ask the owner what's their preferred address. So we put it to the address that is, on what they request, which would be that address. I can't speak to them if they live in the same household, but I'm assuming, I can't assume that, but that's where we've sent it to, because that's what we were told on file when we add them in. So.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Moretsky, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. So the applicants, please go ahead. Your presentation regarding the request for non-cooperation.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I think if we take a look at a couple pieces of information, as noted by the assessor, when we take a look at the address provided, it isn't the address of the subject property. And when we take a look at page 22 and 24, we can see that that Canada Post appears to have delivered this to a community mailbox, so not even to the property itself. We know that the property has in the past, it returned the income and expense mailer. So we can show that has occurred in the past. However, again, when we take a look at this, we don't know, there's no evidence that this information actually got to the correct place. We don't have any clear indication. The civic address that we have under appeal is 710 Dufferin Ave. We don't know that it got to someone who could actually fill it out as well. I think that the courts have spoken to this as well. So again, referring to the Boeing Canada Operations Decision 2016 MBQB, paragraph 70, starting on paragraph 69. Again, it's a question of, has procedural justice in a situation where it has been a request for non-cooperation has been made, has it been met? We know that there had been a letter sent. We have no indication. We know was sent to a community mailbox. We have no indication that it was actually received by the owner. We don't have a signature. We don't know that it actually filtered all the way through. We know in the past that the owner had returned this information when requested. So again, it becomes a question of, is it fair to request non-cooperation when we don't actually know that the information got where it was going? I highlight paragraph 71 of that decision, where it's basically where again the court determined the argument advanced by Boeing that legislative cannot intended to give the right to appeal to a property while at the same time subjecting the property to a harsh penalty as a result of conduct of another with no knowledge or control of the situation. So again, we're in this situation where we know that the letter had been sent, but we don't know it had been received, and yet the request for non-cooperation is being made. So again, a fairly harsh penalty when we don't actually know the owner had a chance to respond to it. Again, the next case I'd like to refer the board to is that 2005 MBCA 95 decision, which is Winnipeg Assessor et al. Versus Larchinson et al. Again, when we take a look, we can see paragraph 42, the factual finding in this case is that the agent received the request but failed to bring the owner's attention. Again, the court looked at it and they made the determination that in a situation where the owner is not aware of the request, they can't respond to the request. And additionally, when we look at paragraph 40 of that same decision, it was determined that the assessor bears the burden of establishing that the request has been brought to the attention of the owner. So we do see that this situation has been contemplated by courts. We do see that the courts have come down on the side of the fact that it has to show that the request has gotten to the owner, and we have to show that the owner had received it and was able to acknowledge it. In this case, we don't know that. There's not a clear line of a clear direction. We know that it was sent. We know that it was sent. We don't know if it was ever received. And again, we know in the past the owner has responded to this. So it'd be our position that the issue of non-compliance is we don't know enough to know that it was received. We would respectfully request the board to deny that request. Thank you very much. Oh, and sorry, Grayson, did you want to add anything to that?
Nothing to add. Thanks, man.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harling, do you have any questions for the applicants regarding their presentation?
I mean, I guess just one quick question was like, because I know we're just talking about the address, because I know you're right, they have received it before. Are you aware of like if they've changed the mailing addresses of where they want it? Because I'm just saying I noted that before when we did receive it, we've always been sending it to the same address. So previously when they did receive it, but you're right. I was gonna say you're right. We don't have anything on file, a signature or anything like that. So, but I'll just leave it at that. So yeah.
Sorry. So you're asking if I know if they've moved?
No, I guess the question I was just curious
Okay.
was like, because I know they received it once, like you said, obviously. Because like the address we have on file is like I guess the 12, the Lee Boulevard where they're located. Like, are you aware of previously it was going to their like the business location, I guess, if you will? Because I'm just saying on file we've always had it at the one address, I guess, whatever. So, but
unfortunately, when we did talk to the assessor, they said they hadn't received it. I can't speak to where it was going previous to that. Unfortunately, I can't provide much more detail than that. Sorry.
Okay, that's no problem. Thank you very much.
Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions?
Madam Chair, can I ask the city one question? None of the applicant. I know I already had an opportunity, but I'm just wondering if I could ask one more of him. It's no problem
Sure.
if not. Sure. In regards to it being sent to the personal address, how does that get determined versus the business of the subject property?
Like I was kind of saying before, like anytime we like add a new property or we talk to the owner, we always ask, where they want the mailing address sent to. So, we have property owners, sometimes they'll want it sent to the business, sometimes they'll want it sent to their personal residence. It just really depends on what the owner asks. So, I can only speak to what we have on file. So, that's what we were provided. So I can't, speak to, we would just send it to the address on file, which is the 1282 Lee Boulevard, but yeah.
Thank you. No questions and no questions for the applicant. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Moretsky, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. So we will take a recess and discuss the matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, everybody. The board has discussed the assessor's request for non-cooperation, and we are going to grant the assessor's request for non-cooperation in this matter. So the applicants, please proceed with your presentation when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So again, I'll just begin on page 3 of our package. So the subject property is a 2,400 square foot industrial warehouse located in the Dufferin industrial area. We believe that the assessment amount of $413,000 is overstated, and we ask the board to reduce the assessment to $306,000. Moving on to page 4, we just have the snippet of the assessment from the City of Winnipeg website. And on page 5, we have our requested assessment. So for this property, we are requesting that the assessed rental rate be reduced from $9.47 per square foot to $8 per square foot. And we are requesting that the assessed capitalization rate of 4.85% be increased to 5.75%. And from this, we have derived our requested assessment of $306,000. On page 6, we have the assessment map. Page 7 is the satellite map. And then on page 8, we just have a few photos of the subject property from Dufferin Ave. On page 9, we have our leasing analysis. So we've looked at the leasing in the table below and have found that typical rental rates are ranging from about $6 to $10 and have occurred at an average of about $7.09 and a median of $6.75 per square foot. Now, we understand that the subject property is newer than all these comparables. And so that for that reason, we're requesting a higher rate of $8 per square foot. On page 10, we have, again, the third-party market data for capitalization rates. And I apologize, there is a typo. The assessed cap rate, it says the assessed cap rate of 5.07%. That is incorrect. The assessed capitalization rate is 4.85%. And this is an extremely low rate, in our opinion. This is well below the lower bound of the industrial A quality capitalization rates outlined above. So again, we see for industrial A properties, the lower bound is closer to 5.75% for CBRE, 6% for Colliers and Cushman. And so from this, we're requesting that the capitalization rate be increased to 5.75%. Just brief summary on page 11. Again, we're requesting a rental rate of $8 per square foot, capitalization rate of 5.75%, and a requested value of $306,000. And then as before, we have our supporting documentation at the end, including notice of hearing, photos of the lease comparables that we've looked at, and the City of Winnipeg guidelines for assessment. So again, the value we're requesting today is $306,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harling, do you have any questions for the applicants?
Just one question, if you're aware. Are you, since I know we don't have the mailer to check this, but are you aware if the because obviously we know the owners will own the building, but are you aware if the building is owner occupied or is it being tenanted out?
I am not sure. Wes,
Okay.
do you?
As far as we know, they, again, based on our conversations, it does sound like the owner's using it for their running their own business.
Oh, okay, so it would be owner occupied then. Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions for the applicants?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Moretsky?
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, I just have a question based on the picture. So you said it's owner occupied for their own business?
Correct. So as far as we're aware, they run a transportation business, and they are using that as part of that business.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering because in the picture it looked like it had like a children's play structure in the yard. So I didn't know if that was
As far as we're aware, that's as far as we're aware, that is, if it's there for personal use. We're not aware of them running
Okay.
a daycare in the site.
Okay. I didn't know if it was being rented out like as a rental prop, like, you know, a residential rental property or something. Okay.
No, as far as we're aware, that's not the case.
Okay. That was my question. Thank you for clarifying. All right. Mr. Harling, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 23-324. The roll number is 140024890. The address is 710 Dufferin Avenue. And the owners are Devinder Kurt K. Kosha and Previnder Durjert S. Kosha. Probably said that wrong, I apologize. So, but the 2024 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $413,000. So if we look at the property description information below, this is obviously one building on the premise. The actual and effective year builds are 2018. The wall heights are 16 feet. The land area is 7,365 square feet with a plan area of 2,400 square feet, which uses a land to plan area of 3.07 and a total leasable area of 2,400 square feet. So we turn to page 2 of my brief. We've already spoken about the request for income information. And here's just some of the sales history. I will note this is actually property. Well, I'll get into that after all. This property used to be a residential property, but it was the residential property was demolished, and that's when this new building was built on it. So that's maybe why there was that picture of that potentially that structure there. But so that's initially what it previously was, and we have also leases in place. Page 3 of my brief. Again, you'll see where the subject located. So again, this is located on Dufferin Avenue. So you can kind of just see where the surrounding area is situated near. So here's just Jarvis, just south of there. So you can kind of get an idea where it's situated. Page 4 of my brief is just more of a zoomed in photo of the property here on Dufferin Avenue. Now, page 5, here's some pictures of the subject properties. Now, this is facing Dufferin. So this would just be, I guess it would be the back of the building if you'd want to say. So essentially it's more like a storage garage, if anything. So here's the back of the building located on Dufferin Avenue. And you turn to page 6, this is just another further view. Oh, I guess that play structure is, I think it's an adjacent parcel actually, so I apologize. So now page 7, this is just an aerial view or Google Street aerial view just to show the property where it's situated. So you get a better idea on page 8 here of kind of how it's located. So you can see here they have, as Mr. Van Bergen had mentioned, obviously it sounds like they're running a business of their own for vehicles. So you can see some of the vehicles here and an aerial view of the parcel itself. Again, here on page 9, just a very more zoomed in photo of just the building itself and just the parcel. Turning to page 10, this is just gives you an overview of the structure. Again, being an oversized, more or less a garage. You have the 2 overhead bay doors. And then pages 11, this is just further photos of the subject, just from different angles, just to show the property in its entirety. So if we go to page 12 of my brief, this is our income workup. So we're assessing the property, or the leasable area, I should say, is 2,400 square feet. We're applying a model rent of $9.47 a square foot. which gives us a potential rent of 22,728. We're applying 6.5% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of 21,251. Applying 3% for non-public expenses, as well as $3.85 a square foot of shortfall, which gives us an overall net operating income of 20,012. And then lastly, we are applying a capitalization rate of 4.85%, which gives us an estimated value of $413,000. So turn to page 13 of my brief. These are my rent comparables. So my rent comparables range, lease start dates from December 1st, 2018 to February 1st, 2020. Lease terms range from 2 to 5 years. Leasable areas range from 2,670 square feet to 6,800 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 feet to 19 feet. Effective year belts range from 1955 to 1988. And the overall net rents range from $9.12 a square foot to $12.35 a square foot. And so you'll see some of the locations. So we have Sargent would be a bit further away in St. James, Aaron Street, Winnipeg would be the closest. McPhillips wouldn't be too far off. So, you could argue some of these would be better location too. So, some of these rents would be higher, but again, being older buildings, similar wall height, similar age and such. So going to page 14 of my brief, as I mentioned previously, we are using a lower cap rate of 4.85%. So I will note this is a notably lower cap rate. But again, the driving factors for the lower cap rate in this case would be the fact of the age and the size of the building. So similar as I mentioned with the previous property, which we had a similar size property, being 2,400 square feet, it would be a less risk involved. So, tenanting or selling the property. And again, being 2018 build, that would be the main driving factors for that lower cap rate. So, but I will note, yes, it is below the, city's 20th percentile and outside sources. But again, we're looking at sales as a whole. So, we have seen some lower cap rate sales. So, but again, the reasoning again, as I said, for the age and the size of the building would be the driving factors for cap rate. Turn to page 15 is just a municipal assessment active information. And then lastly, on pages 16 through 24, we've already spoken to, which is just the mailer non-compliance information. So that would conclude my presentation, and I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do the applicants have any questions for the assessor?
I have none. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Van Bruggen?
None for me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Duncan, do you have any questions for the assessor?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moretsky.
Yes, I think you mentioned that your rent comparables were not in that area. You were not able to find similar size buildings in that area?
Yeah, you know what? In the different area, there's not a lot of the properties that are actually do happen to be owner occupied, or a lot of the buildings there would be slightly larger, of a different type of building, like a flex warehouse. So I tried to find comparables similar in size, and and being a newer building, there's not a lot of newer comparables in that region either as well. So yeah, I will note, like Aaron Street, McPhillips Street. Aaron would be a very similar type of the industrial type of age and location as to the Dufferin area. Again, Dufferin Industrial and Aaron Industrial, they're very similar types of buildings and of age and usage and such in there. So I did outsource slightly a bit further, just due to the fact that there's not a lot of tenanted comparables in the Dufferin area. So
okay, no further questions.
Okay, my question's been answered. Thank you very much. All right, is there a need for summary from either party?
No, I believe I'm good. Just let the evidence go from there. Thank you.
We have no need as well. Thank you, Madam.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.